Welcome to Movie Bitches, episode 67. Yeah. Tonight we're reviewing Sandra Bullock's latest movie. Our brand is Crisis. A terrible title.
It's a really bad title because I keep calling it the wrong thing.
Well, it's just like, that's not very memorable.
The brand is Crisis. Our brand is Crisis. Crisis is our brand. I don't know. I just keep going. You know, that Sandra Bullock movie where she's got her blindside wig on. It's all fine.
There was part of this movie.
Yeah.
Where she is like going, out to visit the locals, right. Where he lives.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is like Bolivian Blindside.
I'm a member of the NRA and I'm always packing.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Oh, but okay, so the movie is about Sandra Bullock is a political strategist who's on the outs because she's unconventional. And
terrible. And not terrible at her job, terrible as a human?
Yeah.
Or maybe both. But she's spoiled at every turn by
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
And she goes to Bolivia to help with a campaign down there.
Yep. There were parts of this movie that were fun, that felt like they were like the comedic, uplifting parts of a different movie that was actually like had a message and was important.
Had the political stuff been completely secondary, I think the movie would have been better. If it had solely been like, oh yeah, these campaigns are kind of happening, but like we're talking about this rivalry.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what we're rooting for. Okay, cool. Because then I'm not torn. Because they would show like Bolivians protesting their horrific poverty, and you're like, I feel really bad about this.
Exactly.
But nobody else seems to.
No one else seems to care. I don't remember Sandra Bullock's character's name.
Jane.
Calamity. Yeah, right. Calamity Jane, whatever. Jane, whatever. And who was the other guy?
Boyd.
Someone Cash? What was it?
Candy.
Candy. John Candy.
That's a different person.
Is it?
That's Uncle Buck.
Who's Uncle Buck?
Oh my God, Andrew. John Candy from Home Alone.
Oh yeah. Whatever. Anyway, if they had done like Jane versus John or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And that was the movie, I would have been more on board for that.
Well, there was a lot of choices that she made. So basically her nickname is Calamity Jane because chaos follows her wherever she goes, right? There were times in the film where I was like, that's accurate. She seems like a real loose cannon. I don't know if you should be listening to her. And then there's another scene where they race through the very dangerous roads of Bolivia, the Bolivian jungle, with buses.
Yep.
For no reason.
No, she just wants to stick it to him and moon him. Yeah.
If it was like, oh, we're gonna be second in line for the whatever.
That's what I thought it was gonna be.
Okay, I guess it's worth almost killing yourself in a horrific bus crash where you fall off a cliff and burn to death. But there was no reason. There was no reason for it. That was really dangerous.
Well, and here's part of the problem for me. So she's working for this guy that she really doesn't know much about. But to me, it's pretty obvious early on that he's not a good guy.
Yeah, there's never that conversation where she's like, I don't want to work for assholes anymore. This guy better be the real deal.
Right.
And that never happens.
And so, it's hard. The only reason that I'm rooting for her is because I hate Billy Bob Thornton so much. I've never seen a movie with him that I've not hated him.
Well, here's the thing. When he plays a creeper, I'm like, that works. Yeah. You're, in Fargo, he plays a real psycho.
Okay, fair.
Right? And I'm like, yeah, you are. The interesting thing is, that character was supposed to be played by George Clooney.
Oh. So,
can't you see how it was written? It's written very quip to you, and you too over there, how Gravity also was kind of supposed to work.
Right.
Where all of Billy Bob Thornton's lines coming out of George Clooney's mouth would have been like, George Clooney.
Right.
That's not sexist.
Well.
Somewhat. It would have been a softer landing.
I mean, one of the lines, I'm sorry, one of the lines was,
I know what you're going to say.
regardless of how this turns out, I'm I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna pleasure myself thinking of you several times.
Well, the other thing is, in the script, she is a man.
Oh.
And then Sandra Bullock...
Just like Gravity.
Just like Gravity, man. Sandra Bullock, like, became available or whatever, and they were like, we're willing to change that. So all of this sort of personal dynamics did seem weird.
Yeah.
And you couldn't quite...
Well, I clearly changed stuff
all
then.
of that stuff.
They clearly rewrote stuff for the two of them.
Yeah.
Because that's a line I think that, like, seems like he would have said, like...
You mean if it was George Clooney and Billy Bob playing those roles, and Billy Bob was like, when I get back, I'm absolutely going to pleasure myself for hours thinking of you. Okay, now I do want to talk about the fact that Sandra Bullock wears nothing but leather lace-up shoes with no socks throughout the entire film. Like shoes that you need socks for in Bolivia.
Ooh.
With no socks. Short pants. She's like always wearing short pants like she's RuPaul. It was weird. I felt bad for her feet, and they must have smelled, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. It was weird.
Okay. Didn't notice.
I'm already so disillusioned with politics that, like, nothing in this movie was like, what? People do that?
They play dirty, like,
oh no!
They have smear campaigns.
What? Like, I was like, ugh, all of this. I don't know. I feel like it's hard to make a political movie these days because it's just so fucked.
Yeah.
Who are you rooting for? It felt old.
It
felt like Wag the Dog or like a Mike Nichols movie. Like, it felt like Charlie Wilson's War or something where you're like, haven't I seen this movie?
Well, and that was my big thing. I don't know. That was like the theme tonight for me. For some reason was like, I don't think this story needed to be told.
I think there's maybe better, more up-to-date, more interesting political stories they could have been telling.
Absolutely. Well, and like...
This isn't like a bad... Like, I'm glad maybe someone will get something out of this. Like, it wasn't a bad message, but it just seemed like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was like a nothing...
I already saw that movie. Oh,
it was a non-starter.
It was fine. Like, you could rent it on Netflix.
Yeah, if you watched it at home some night,
you'd be like, okay, fine.
Yeah, oh, she's good. I mean, they're fine.
It was fine.
I'd give it a meh.
Cheers.
Cheers.